me. I remember that person, remember like what they did for me and how they affected my life. So I'm just gonna share this way. So first, this is the first tattoo I ever got. I was 17 years old. As you know, it's illegal to do that in America, but that's how it leads into this. My mom and dad were awesome people. They've done everything they could to help me accomplish my goals, no matter what it was. And I like to, they always joke about how I got the best of both worlds from them. And my mom always reminds me that I'm thankful to not have her nose, and my dad reminds me that it's great that I have his, so that's just something that they like to talk about. But really, like, everything I do in my life, like, I have two big goals. The first one is to make them proud, and the second one is to make them laugh, because I don't think there's any better sound than my parents laughing. So that's my parents, and I love them very much. So, I always had a really strong relationship with my parents. From the time I was a kid, my mom was my best friend. I could come to them with everything until Devin came into my life. I was a senior in high school, he was a freshman, and we just connected on some level that still I don't understand. And it's funny to look back and see what I put myself through and everyone in my life through to be with him. I sacrificed a lot. This was the first time in my life when I really experienced discrimination. Since I was older than him and I was the female and he was the male, I got brutal sexism for it. Everyone from my friends to my college soccer coach to anybody just ripped on me hard for it. And like, they thought it was funny and they thought I thought it was funny, but it wasn't. It was actually a really terrible time in my life. And it was a really unhealthy relationship. I gave up everything to be with him, and like, he was somebody who was lying to me, cheating on me, using drugs, but he like really manipulated me into thinking that he was the only one I needed in my life. So I actually wasn't on speaking terms with my parents at this point, and that had never happened. I'd never gotten in anything longer than a 20-minute argument with my parents, so this was tough. I was at college, I was away from them, and like, my parents were threatening to like say that I didn't have a place to come home to after my spring semester was over. So I lied to them, told them that the relationship had ended, but it didn't. It continued for a while. So I really lost my relationship with my parents, I lost my relationship with my friends, and I lost, most importantly, I lost my sense of self-worth. I let myself be convinced that I could never get anything better than him, and that he was the only thing worth living for. I let my happiness depend completely on him. It was in his hands, totally. And this is also the time when I stopped using the word love. I didn't tell anybody I loved them for years. It just felt, it was something that I didn't feel comfortable saying because I didn't think that it was a positive thing. I thought it was something that could destroy your life because I didn't really see how it could be good for you. So that's when I stopped showing love, showing affection, and even saying the word, even to my parents. Nobody, I didn't say it to anybody. Luckily, I finally had the courage to walk away and get out of it. This is a photo of me before I started dating him. It's just like a crazy photo of me from just like a funny time that happened. And like, I realized that I wanted to get my life back. I was sick of supporting somebody who was cheating on me all the time, and he actually ended up going to prison. He just got out recently. I was in California, I was already living here and serving the city when he got out, and he called me, and I told him, I said, where do you think I am right now? His first guess was Washington, D.C., his second guess was here. I don't plan on ever like seeing him again, but he still contacts me, and I listen, because I know that he needs somebody in his life to be there for him, and like, I've gotten to the point where I can move on past it, and I've forgiven him for what happened, because I can't blame him for what happened, because I'm the one that allowed myself to get sucked into it. So I have to take responsibility for me, and it took me a long time to see that. For a long time, I blamed him for me not allowing myself to open up to other people, because I thought he hurt me, like this is his problem, but it's not. Only you can control what you let other people do to you, and I got to the point where it's like, you're done, like you're not controlling me anymore, and I'm not going to think about you anymore. So I focus on what made me happy. And the funny thing about this tattoo was when I was on my way to get it, I was with my mother, and I actually saw him, like, on the side of the road on my way there. And I was like, I don't need you. Like, it's just funny that, like, I saw him randomly. I mean, I lived in the woods, and, like, I saw him, I don't know what he was doing, I don't care. But, so I still struggle with opening myself up to other people in terms of, like, romantic relationships. relationships. Like, I can build really deep friendships, and that's fine, but, like, I still haven't had anything that's, like, Facebook official since, like, then. And it's been, like, 5 years, I think, and I'm still not sure if I'm ready for it, because it's scary to let yourself go. I mean, for anybody who's been in love and been with somebody, it's terrifying, because no matter how hard you try, like, parts of your happiness do depend on that person. And even though I'm 23, I have a lot of history, I've grown a lot, I still don't know if I'm mature enough for that, but maybe it's just because I haven't met the right person. So this is when I really learned that I need to make myself happy before I can make anyone else happy. This is Bridget. When I was in college, we grew up playing soccer together, I knew her for years, and then when I was a junior in college, she passed away in a tragic four-wheeling accident. And the funny thing I noticed was the first thing I did and the first thing everyone around me did when we found out was we went directly to her MySpace. We went directly to Facebook to create a group. That's how we connected with each other, and that's how we remember her. Whenever I need to like see her and like just feel that she's there, feel I need to talk to her, I go to her MySpace and I write on her wall. This is when I realized the power of social media. This is why I tweet, this is why I blog, this is why I document everything, because when I'm gone, if something happens to me, I want people to know what I'm about. I want people to feel like there's somewhere they can go to connect with me, even though I'm gone, and I want them to be able to like share with each other like who I am and like how they can move on from there. It's funny because I don't think people really realize that that's how deep-rooted social media is for me. I get picked on a lot for it. But it's such a powerful tool. For anybody who's lost a friend that has died young, I mean, you go to their Facebook page. It's what you do. You see them again, and that's how you handle it. And that's how I want to be remembered. I want to control how I'm remembered. This is also the time in my life when I lost faith in God. As a college student, it already wasn't important to me because I was busy doing my own thing. But this is the time when I was really like, no, like, if you existed, then this wouldn't have happened. So this is the time when I lost my faith. All right. So this is my boy Kurt. We went on a service trip to New Orleans together, and even though I had friends that were going on the trip, I decided not to choose a preference for my plane seat for the flight to New Orleans from New York. And he was the one who got seated next to me. Even though we went to the same college, it was a really small college, we had never met each other before, but like from the time he sat down to the time we landed, we just connected on this like deep level that I'll never forget. And he's still someone that I still stay connected with. I still see him every time I go home. He's just an amazing person. And this trip to New Orleans was when I found out about AmeriCorps. I learned what AmeriCorps was. And this is when I knew that I was going to serve after I was done with school. I'd already been involved in a few service projects. I'd already been to New Orleans before, but there's something about this trip that like changed my life. And this tree is modeled after both a tree that was in front of a house that we were gutting. I remember like taking a picture of that tree, and like for some reason that tree just really stuck out to me. And it's also a tree, an apple tree that was in my, that's still in my front yard. I had my tree house there. I chilled there when I was a kid a lot. So it's just like this to me is like my service and like why I do it and how I got rooted into it. Okay. Yes, I actually have a tattoo of Butters. Okay. I really love Butters. Right? Okay. So this is my friend Evan. When we were in high school, he was diagnosed with cancer. It was a really tough time, but it was when we all banded together, me and my friends, because his mother and father were going through a divorce. His mother was actually like flying off to the Philippines and catching him cheating on her. She had all these crazy wigs, and he joked that like he had cancer as well, and she was buying wigs for herself to play a private detective. But it was like a funny thing. You can laugh at that. But Evan, like, he really supported me leaving and coming to California. Even though he was sick and still had to come home for like cancer treatments, he moved to Boston. He pursued his dreams. He's a music producer out there, and like I saw him when we were there for Academy, and just talking to him about like what I've been able to achieve and what he's achieved, like he inspires me to do my thing, to get out here. Like when so many other people were like, oh, what about the money? What about missing people? What about this and that? When you go to California, he was the one that was like, no, like that you want to be there and you want to do that, so you need to go and you need to do it. I mean, if I can do it, you can too. And he's just an amazing person. great. I made him promise he'd go to prom with me, and he did. So he was my little prom date. I love that. It's great. And then this is Ubuntu. It's something I think you guys are familiar with now, now that we've gone through Academy. It's underneath the tree that I have on my leg. And this is the word that really changed me. City Year taught me to love again. I didn't say I loved anyone of my parents until I came to City Year. So if I've said it to you over this past year, I've meant it. It's still really awkward for me to say I love somebody. It's really, I mean, it's just awkward for me. It's not something I feel comfortable with, but City Year's culture and community has really helped me develop that it's okay to love somebody. And there's different ways of showing that love. You know, I show my love through service. I show my love through sharing my story. And now I can show my love by telling people. And that's something that I couldn't do for a really long time, and it feels good. This also, my brother was with me when I got this tattoo over Christmas, and him and I are like complete opposites, north, south, like, you know which one I am. We didn't get along growing up at all, and like now that I've gone through Leadership Compass, like I know why. We didn't get along, we didn't know how to deal with each other. But he's an amazing kid. He just graduated from high school, which was kind of cool. Parallel was me graduating from City Year and him graduating from high school within the same week. Because he almost didn't make it. He only graduated by 1 point. He just made it. But I'm so proud of him that he did it because there were so many talks of him dropping out and like not doing it. So for him to do it just made me so proud. And then he called me and we were talking and he's like, you know, like what other AmeriCorps programs can you tell me about? Like what else is there? So I'm really, really hoping that he'll pursue it. And another thing with Ubuntu, this is the first time in my life I've actually been open to the idea of faith again. I've gone to services a couple times over the past year. One to see Kim give a beautiful sermon, another time to support Jason, one of my old roommates. And I'm not 100% like I believe or anything like that, but like it's incredible to even think that that is even an idea in my head. Because a year ago I would have never thought that like I would have ever wanted that to be part of my life or that it ever could be. So to me, City Year is love, and it's led me here, and I'm so thankful.